Are India's voice to the world. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh. Coming up in the next hour. India protests. UK envoy visit to Pakistan-occupied Kashmir reiterates Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh are integral part of the country. Taiwan ruling party's Lai Ching-te wins the presidential elections, faces an uphill task of dealing with China. United States launches fresh strikes at Houthis' radar sites in Yemen. UN Secretary General urges countries to avoid escalation in the Red Sea. And India celebrates Lohri. People observe the harvest festival with traditional food, folk music and dance. In a closely watched election that holds significant implications beyond its borders, Taiwan has a new president-elect, Democratic Progressive Party's Lai Ching-te. Here's more.
In a bold and historic move, Taiwanese voters swept Vice President Lai Ching-te, the presidential candidate of the ruling Democratic Progressive Party, into power on Saturday. This resounding victory served as a direct rejection of China's explicit warnings, positioning the election as a critical choice between war and peace. Vice President Lai, a key figure in the DPP, known for championing Taiwan's distinct identity and vehemently opposing China's territorial claims, sought an unprecedented third term, navigating the intricacies of Taiwan's unique electoral system. Facing off against formidable opponents, Lai was engaged in a fierce presidential race with Hu Yu-yi, representing Taiwan's largest opposition party, the KMT. In a show of sportsmanship, opponents gracefully conceded defeat in the wake of Lai's decisive victory. The self-governing island, home to 23.5 million people, elected a new president and parliament. This critical decision comes at a time of heightened tension with China, whose stance towards Taiwan has become increasingly assertive. The campaign was a testament to Taiwan's vibrant democratic credentials, which was centered on both livelihood issues and the complex question of how to navigate relations with its authoritarian neighbor to the northwest. This election not only reflects the Taiwanese people's firm stance on their sovereignty, but also sends a powerful message to China amidst heightened tensions. As Taiwan stands at the crossroads of its future, the world watches closely to see how this electoral outcome will shape regional dynamics and diplomatic relations. Bureau Report, DD, India.
So Lai Ching-te is the new president-elect of Taiwan, an election that was seen also in the manner in which China, the powerful neighbor, is going to react to it. The election that took place in Taiwan. For the latest, let's go across live to Taipei. DD India correspondent Patrick Falk is joining us for more. Patrick, the challenge ahead is as big as the victory for the president-elect Lai Ching-te. He is not China's favorite politician. What will be his priorities?
No, he certainly isn't China's favorite politician. But, you know, it's an interesting question because when we talk about Taiwanese politics, we often think of it, particularly when we talk about the KMT and the DPP, we talk about it as being, you know, a question of being anti or pro-China, I should say, or in an independent leaning. But in reality, that's not exactly what it's like. In truth, you know, whether it's the DPP in charge or the KMT in charge, there are balances that need to be made on both sides, and William Lai will need to try and balance that relationship with China, just as the KMT, if it had come to power, it would need to maintain strong links with the US. William Lai speaking after his rivals conceded the vote, did say that he was willing to engage with Beijing. He reiterated that, as a matter of fact. But, you know, also in terms of the other work as well, there are a lot of domestic issues that need to be addressed. As we know, this vote has also been very much about the state of the economy, the high cost of living and housing prices as well. And it was an incredibly close contest. It's far from a resounding mandate for Lai and the Democratic Progressive Party. He said as well that he's willing to work with opposition parties and said that members of the opposition could occupy government positions as well. So that's really a reflection of that, and an acknowledgement to an extent as well, and acknowledging that the DPP has lots of work to do on the domestic front as well.
An important point there. Domestic issues, of course, are taking center stage. Patrick, the issue of sovereignty is always looming large when we talk about Taiwan. China had warned earlier that Taiwanese people have to choose between war and peace in these elections. Do you think the people of the island have spoken in a clear voice?
Well, look, this really is a message to the rest of the world, in particular, that Taiwan won't be deterred by China's threats. And there had been really a campaign of intimidation leading up to the vote today. And as a matter of fact, Taiwan today said it reported that it had spotted more hot air balloons and jet fighters and warships nearby as well. So, you know, this really shows that Taiwan isn't willing to back down. And as we've said before, this issue of unification, I mean, 90%, surveys show that 90% of people in Taiwan are opposed to that and really see them as part of a sort of unique Taiwanese identity. But, you know, as we've said as well, you know, this has potentially backfired for China with the way that it's handled this lead up to the vote. And, you know, when there were so many other issues at stake, it's put itself front and center and in people's minds. And one of the things that people have been talking about as well is the former President Ma Ying-jeou of the KMT had said yesterday that Taiwan needs to trust Xi Jinping, and it's not necessarily the sort of thing that people in Taiwan want to hear, and some people have suggested that that prompted more people to turn out and come and support William Lai.
Patrick, thank you for those updates. Moving on, the United States has launched new strikes against the Houthi targets in Yemen, saying the strike is follow-on action on specific military target associated with strikes taken on January 12th. Earlier, this comes after a multinational operation was carried out on Thursday in coordination with United Kingdom, with support from Australia, Canada, Netherlands and Bahrain. More in this report.
The United States launched new strikes against the Houthi militants in Yemen. U.S. Military Central Command said that the strike was conducted by the USS Carney DDG-64 using Tomahawk land attack missiles and was a follow-on action on the specific military target associated with strikes taken on Jan 12th, designed to degrade the Houthis' ability to attack maritime vessels, including commercial vessels. Earlier on Friday, United States Central Command said it had launched joint strikes on Houthi targets in Yemen. The multinational operation carried out early on Thursday was led in coordination with the United Kingdom with support from Australia, Canada, the Netherlands and Bahrain. US President Joe Biden said he had delivered a message to Iran with airstrikes on Houthi rebels in Yemen.
I've already delivered the message to Iran. They know not to do anything. We will make sure that we respond to the Houthis if they continue this outrageous behavior.
While British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak expressed hope that strikes by Britain and the US in Yemen will degrade the capacity of the group.
Well, we've carried out a series of strikes together with allies which will, we believe, degrade and disrupt the capability. The types of things that we've targeted are launch sites for missiles and for drones. Initial indications are that those strikes have been successful.
However, the escalation of tension has raised concerns in the region.
We are just extremely worried about the risks and the greater risks of escalation of this and with the impact on the wider region, the risk that on Yemen itself, which, as we've said before, Mr. Grunberg and his team had worked hard to get parties together, and the people who pay, as it is in every case, are the civilians who don't often have enough of a voice in what is going on.
On Jan 10th, UN Security Council demanded Yemen's Houthis immediately end attack on ships in the Red Sea and cautioned against escalating tension. Fuzail Ahmed reporting for DD India.
And DD India correspondent Trent Murray gets us the latest from West Asia.
Well, as you might imagine, the Houthis themselves have not reacted well to this fresh strike by the Americans overnight. They've released a statement saying this new strike will have a firm, strong and effective response. It comes after that initial wave of strikes we saw just under 48 hours ago, in which again the Houthis said that American interests and British interests were now legitimate targets for them following that big wave of airstrikes, which of course included Tomahawk missiles launched by US warships, as well as fighter jets from the British Royal Air Force. But we know that these strikes certainly just haven't appeared in a vacuum. The US, the UK and many others have been warning the Houthis that if they continued these attacks on those vital shipping lanes, that there would be consequences, and we are now starting to see those consequences materialise in the form of these airstrikes. Radar stations being targeted, but also airfields, rocket launch sites and weapons storage areas. We know that it hasn't necessarily allayed concerns of some of the world's biggest shipping companies, companies like Maersk, for example, the world's biggest, say that they are continuing to avoid those waters out of abundance of caution, given what we are seeing. And that's also starting to have big ramifications sort of along the supply chain, if you will, because we've seen shipping costs soar in recent days, given the dangers involved. And even some companies like Tesla and Volvo, for example, are saying they're having to suspend manufacturing in Europe because they just cannot get the components they need that would normally be delivered via that vital shipping lane. I think you would struggle to find a diplomat right now in this region who wouldn't say that they're concerned about this spiralling out of control into a wider war across West Asia, and that is because, as you say, this is all interconnected, and what connects them all is Iran. The Houthis are part of what is known as the axis of resistance. That is how they describe themselves, and it's a connection of groups that include Hamas in Gaza, militant groups in Syria and Iraq, and also notably Hezbollah up on the northern border here in Israel, in Lebanon. And there is a real push right now by Western diplomats to try and ask Tehran to rein in these militias that are causing flashpoints right across this region, because, as I say, the concern is that the longer this goes on, the more strikes that take place, that this really could escalate into a regional conflict, which of course would have just devastating impacts on people living in West Asia.
And we're heading for a short break, but still to come on DD India News Hour. India protests UK envoy visit to Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. Russia-Ukraine war continues with latest missile attack by Russia in Kiev. And Denmark prepares for the new king's coronation.
This is Dashrath Mahal or Dashrath Palace, which is thought to have served the home of Lord Rama in his younger days and also served as a capital of King Dashrath.
राम राज्य पूर्णतः 22 जनवरी को वापस आ रहा है। हम लोगों में एकदम हर्ष उल्लास है। जय श्री राम। पूरी अयोध्या मालूम दुल्हन की तरह सज गई है।
राम राज्य के दर्शन करने सब राज आएगा। ये पृथ्वी भी है ना, राजा राम जी है। अयोध्या में राम जी का भव्य मंदिर, दिव्य मंदिर बन रहा है, ये हमारे स्वाभिमान का प्रतीक है।
Iconic Ram Ki Pedi or the series of ghats on the bank of much revered river Saryu.
राम जी का राज्य था, राम जी का राज्य है, राम जी का राज्य रहेगा।
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh. India has taken a serious note of highly objectionable visit of the British High Commissioner in Islamabad, along with the UK Foreign Office official, to Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, POK, on 10 January 2024. Taking strong exception to it, India said such infringement of country's sovereignty and territorial integrity is unacceptable. Foreign Secretary has lodged a strong protest with British High Commissioner in India on this infringement. It has been reiterated that Union territories of Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh are, have been and shall always remain an integral part of India. On Saturday, India's Foreign Minister S. Jaishankar attended Manthan, the town hall meeting in Nagpur city of western state of Maharashtra. Responding to a question about permanent seat for India at the UNSC, Jaishankar said, with each passing year, and I quote, he says, the feeling in the world is that India should be there and I can feel that support.
Here, the feeling in the world is India ko hona chahiye. I can feel that support. You know, like in many cases, you have to continue, you have to persevere. Like, you know, the world does not give things easily and generously. कभी-कभी लेना भी पड़ता है.
On being asked about India and China relations, Foreign Minister Jaishankar said, until China finds a solution on the border issues, it should not expect that rest of the relations will go on in a normal manner.
मेरे जो काउंटर पार्ट हैं उनको समझाया है कि जब तक आप बॉर्डर में इसका कुछ सलूशन नहीं निकालेंगे और अगर ये आमने सामने फोर्सेस ऐसे ही रहेंगे और उस तनाव रहेगा तो आपको ये अपेक्षा नहीं रखनी चाहिए कि बाकी रिश्ते जो हैं वो माने नॉर्मल तरीके से चलेंगे, वो असंभव है.
An External Affairs Minister, Dr. S. Jaishankar, will visit Iran on 14th and 15th of January. As part of the ongoing high-level exchanges between the two sides, Jaishankar will meet Foreign Minister of Iran, Dr. Hossein Amir Abdollahian, and hold discussions on bilateral, regional and global issues. Political cooperation, connectivity, initiatives and strong people-to-people ties will constitute important aspects of the agenda. India's Defence Minister Rajnath Singh approved a proposal to launch a group insurance scheme for casual paid labourers engaged by Border Roads Organisation for the ongoing project works. This scheme will provide the insured value of 1 million as insurance in any kind of deaths to casual paid labourers, family or next of kin. Defence Ministry said the scheme will serve as social security and welfare measure to labourers who are working in remote and far-flung areas of the nation. The Russia-Ukraine war continues with the latest missile attack by Russia in Kiev on Saturday, a day after UK's announcement to provide $3.19 billion military and financial aid to Ukraine. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is currently engaged in its bid to join NATO and the EU, but also maintains it's difficult to survive if it doesn't get more aid.
The long-running war between Russia and Ukraine is no more in headlines. The focus has shifted to the Israel-Hamas conflict. Ukraine has relied heavily on the West's military and financial aid, and the latest halt to aid by US dealt a major blow to Ukraine. However, it has heaved a sigh of relief after the UK's announcement of new military aid to Kyiv. Britain has announced $3.19 billion aid to Ukraine to buy drones, including surveillance, long-range strike and sea drones.
The United Kingdom is announcing today our single biggest package of defence aid to Ukraine since the war began, worth £2.5 billion. This will include more air defence equipment, more anti-tank weapons, more long-range missiles, thousands of rounds more ammunition and artillery shells, training for thousands more Ukrainian servicemen and women, and £200 million to build thousands more drones.
In the early hours of Saturday, Ukraine suffered a large Russian missile attack, while its air defense were able to down a far lower proportion of them than usual. Russia launched 37 missiles and 3 drones. Earlier this week, the Ukrainian Air Force's spokesperson said it is suffering from a deficit of air defense missiles. This may be a reason for the Ukrainian defense to cope with it. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is currently engaged in its efforts to secure more financial and military aid and discuss Kyiv's bids to join NATO and the European Union. The Russia-Ukraine conflict has reached a critical stage as Volodymyr Zelensky made it clear that it is difficult for Ukraine to survive in war if it doesn't get Western aid. Anil Thomas report for DD India.
The U.S. aviation regulator extended the grounding of Boeing 737 MAX 9 aeroplanes indefinitely, citing safety concerns after a cabin panel broke off a new jet mid-flight. Both United Airlines and Alaska Airlines have cancelled flights until Tuesday as the Federal Aviation Administration (FAA) mandates additional inspections before allowing Boeing 737 MAX 9 jets to resume operations. On Friday, the Federal Aviation Administration said 40 planes must be re-inspected. After that, agency will review the results and determine to allow the MAX 9s to resume flying. Updates from Ecuador. The police and the army of the South American nation have stepped up security operations nationwide following a dramatic increase in violence this week. Over 20 people have been arrested by the armed forces in several raids so far. The Noboa administration has meanwhile asked lawmakers to weigh an increase in value-added tax to finance efforts to combat crime gangs. Ecuadorian president visited the television station TC in Guayaquil, which was stormed on Tuesday by an armed group during a live broadcast. A dramatic spike in violence this week, including the on-air storming of a TV station, the hostage-taking of 178 prison staff by inmates, and the kidnapping of police officers appears to be a response by gangs to President Daniel Noboa's plan to tackle a dire security situation in the country. Texas erected new barriers along part of the state's border with Mexico this week, blocking border patrol access, a court filing said on Friday. The move comes as conflict over migration escalates between the state's Republican governor, Greg Abbott, and the Democratic U.S. President Joe Biden. As a record number of migrants illegally crossed the border since last few years, Texas seeks to implement its own border controls. The International Monetary Fund (IMF) approved a $100 million loan to Gambia on Friday. IMF said the loan aims to strengthen the West African country's economic recovery and help it address inflation and foreign exchange pressures. The new 3-year loan program replaces a recently completed $47 million IMF loan program granted to Gambia in March of 2020. Ghana has reached a deal to restructure $5.4 billion of loans with its official creditors, a milestone in the country's quest for debt relief as it charts its way out of the worst economic crisis in a generation. The agreement with bilateral lenders, including China and France, was key to unlocking new International Monetary Fund financing and will allow Ghana to access another $600 million under its $3 billion bailout program. The West African country, which defaulted on most of its overseas debt in December of 2022, after debt servicing costs soared, restructured most of its local debt, and also needs to reach a deal with private holders of about $13 billion in international bonds. Microsoft has overtaken Apple to become the world's most valuable publicly traded company for the first time since 2021, after Apple's shares made a weak start to the year on growing concerns over demand. Microsoft shares have risen sharply since last year due to the company's early lead in artificial intelligence. Microsoft stock closed 0.5% higher, while Apple shares closed 0.3% lower. Wall Street is more positive on Microsoft as the company has no sell rating, while Apple does 2 sell ratings. And time to look at some other stories making news around the world. Denmark prepares for the new king's coronation as Denmark's Queen Margrethe, Europe's longest-serving monarch, will abdicate on Sunday after 52 years on the throne. The Queen to become the longest-serving monarch in Europe following the death of Britain's Queen Elizabeth II in September 2022. Japanese pray for New Year Day earthquake recovery by performing an annual ice bath ritual despite freezing temperatures to purify the soul and pray for the healing from the tremor that jolted the region, causing severe damage. The Academy of Television Arts and Sciences hosted a behind-the-scenes look at the upcoming 75th Emmy Awards on Friday in Los Angeles. This year's show to be hosted by American actor and comedian Anthony Anderson. The 75th Emmy Awards will be boasting a recreation of the iconic conveyor scene from the famous 1952 sitcom serial I Love Lucy.
And then that guy can just move over there.
And if you had to choose a favorite,
Talking about it earlier. Okay, good.
And still to come on DD India News Hour. We talk about the outcome and the implications of Taiwan elections. Updates on extreme weather conditions across the world. And Indian Army deployed on the line of control in India's Gulmarg showcased their prowess in avalanche rescue operations.
That never stops, where information shapes our reality. One app stands out, helps you stay ahead of time. Introducing the DD India app, your gateway to a world of news right at your fingertips. Your most trusted source of news goes global, goes digital. Explore a world of options, top stories, live updates, in-depth analysis, and more. Stay informed wherever you are. Real-time alerts keep you ahead of the curve always. The DD India app, connecting you to the world, one story at a time. Download now and explore the world of knowledge, insights, and
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh. Our top stories. India protests UK envoy visit to Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, reiterates Jammu and Kashmir, Ladakh are integral part of India. Taiwan ruling party's Lai Ching-te wins the presidential elections, faces an uphill task of dealing with China. US launches fresh strikes at Houthis' radar sites in Yemen. UN Secretary General urges countries to avoid escalation in the Red Sea. We now talk about the outcome of the Taiwan election. DPP's Lai Ching-te is the new president-elect. And joining me is Ambassador S.R. Thayal, former senior diplomat. Good evening and welcome, sir. It's a curious case of Taiwan. There are many countries in the world without democracy, but few democracies without a country. How do you read the outcome of these elections in Taiwan?
Two, three outcomes one can note. One, there were many threats and warnings from People's Republic of China conveying to the citizens of Taiwan that they should not vote for Mr. Lai Ching-te and they should make the right choice, as they called it. But the people of Taiwan have voted, and Mr. Lai Ching-te has been elected as the president. But we should also note that he got only about 40% of the vote. And there were two other candidates. And the party, Democratic Progressive Party, has actually lost majority in the legislature. So it's a mixed signal. And all the polls in Taiwan indicate that the people of Taiwan really want the status quo to continue. Neither they want to really go and declare independence, nor do they want to become really a part of China. So that is what the people of Taiwan want. Every poll reveals more than 60% say they are Taiwanese. They don't say they are Chinese. But People's Republic of China's declared aim is, and the whole world also accepts, there is a one China policy. So there is a contradiction there. And President Xi Jinping has repeatedly said that by 2047, 100th year of People's Republic of China establishment, reunification should be complete or would be complete. And China has not ruled out use of force. So my own sense is that the result is not as dramatic as it was expected to be a few months back. It may be a landslide victory for Democratic People's Party, Progressive Party, and Mr. Lai. So China can take comfort in that. And the relations with the United States will continue to be strong. But I do not expect some very dramatic move towards independence. So China should just ease the pressure on Taiwan and stop the repeated Air Force, Chinese Air Force has been repeatedly going very close to Taiwan and violating their air defense identification zone, etc. We all recall there was almost an exercise to blockade Taiwan a couple of years back. So China should ease. There are enough problems in the world already, as we, Ukraine-Russia war is going on, the Gaza-Israel war is going on. So China should cooperate and keep the Indo-Pacific peaceful, whether it is Taiwan and whether it is South China Sea, or whether it is Ladakh.
And Ambassador Tayal, in the run-up to the election, China had clearly said that people of Taiwan have to choose between war and peace in these elections. How would it read the outcome? You're saying that there is a possibility of China easing its pressure.
That would be the wise course, because it seems that the Taiwanese people have given kind of a mixed signal. While Mr. Lai Ching-te has been elected president, again I would say with about 40% of the vote, his party has lost majority in the legislature. And so he will have to work, the president-elect will have to work with the legislature, and that will perhaps act as a moderator. And so China should not be apprehensive of some very dramatic move by the new president to move towards independence. And again, it will be better for Taiwan, for China, for the world, that status quo is maintained both by Taiwan as well as by People's Republic of China.
Ambassador Tayal, you mentioned about the other conflicts across the world. There is Ukraine, there's conflict in Gaza. Directly or indirectly, what bearing could it have on the future of Taiwan? What could be the next motivations for China? There could also be an opportunity to learn and take advantage of the situation. How do you read it?
Ukraine is a small country, but it is really fighting so hard, and Russia has not been able to subdue Ukraine. So China would be watching that if people of Taiwan want to remain as they are, de facto independence, but not de jure independence. And in case China tries to use force, people of Taiwan will fight, and they will have the support of international community, particularly of United States. And we should note that President Joe Biden has a couple of times has stated that US will come to Taiwan's defense in case it is attacked, even when really there is no defense treaty between Taiwan and the United States. So China should not try to force the issue. It will have grave repercussions for China itself, and people of Taiwan will fight, and it will not be easy for China to really subdue Taiwan. And if President Xi Jinping has already stated that 2047 is their timeline for reunification, we have 20 years, a lot of things can happen in 2 decades. And again, I would say that China these days has a policy of creeping expansionism and salami slicing technique, etc. But whatever they are doing in South China Sea, now Philippines is also really very vocally resisting Chinese pressure in South China Sea on Philippines. So there is countries have started reacting to China's policy of expansionism and aggression. So they should learn and keep Indo-Pacific peaceful. The whole world will work with China. No country wants any confrontation with China. And hopefully they will desist from putting any undue pressure on Taiwan, particularly because the election result cannot be seen to be a very strong endorsement of Taiwan's move towards independence.
Right. Sir, on the question of US being the de facto security guarantor for Taiwan, there is also this aspect of strategic ambiguity that America maintains in the region, especially on the question of Taiwan. Is that an enabler to maintain the status quo?
Absolutely. The strategic ambiguity, which is part or consequence of that Taiwan Relations Act of 1978 of the United States, empowers the United States or commits the United States to keep on strengthening the defensive capacity of Taiwan, and also to have enough capacity in the United States to resist any violent change there. So, in fact, the US is the guarantor for security guarantor for Taiwan, even if there is no security treaty between US and Taiwan. And China is, of course, very mindful of that. Otherwise, till now, they might have taken some action already.
Right. And Ambassador, finally, speaking to our Taipei correspondent earlier, gave an interesting insight. From the outside, it seems that China is the only issue facing Taiwan, but there's a lot of domestic issues as well, like most countries, socio-economic in nature, cost of living.
That is true. That's why this third party has also come up, and so there is internal contestation, of course, in Taiwan also for what kind of policies they should have, and there is some native Taiwanese and all those who came from the mainland, but now people who were born on the mainland, they are in the political positions. All 3 candidates were born on Taiwan. So the influence of mainland China on Taiwan is gradually declining. And that is one part of the story, but which way economically Taiwan will move, and unemployment and all of that is part of a democratic contestation in any country, and that is sign of a normal democratic process.
On that note, Ambassador Thayal, thank you very much for joining us on NewsHour and sharing your perspective.
Thank you very much.
Moving on, howling winds, heavy snow and frigid air have hit most parts of the world. Northern India is experiencing severe, prolonged cold wave that has thrown normal life out of gear. United States is also grappling with harsh weather conditions and an emergency warning issued over fires in the state of Western Australia. DD India's Aman Kumar and Himanshu's report.
Winters this year have been wreaking havoc around the world with extreme cold wave and snowstorms. India's capital Delhi recorded the coldest night of this winter for a second day in a row, with minimum temperature dipping to 3 degrees Celsius on Saturday. The Indian Meteorological Department has issued a red alert in view of cold and dense fog conditions in the national capital region. The flight operations also hampered on Saturday after visibility dropped to zero due to the formation of very dense fog. US is also facing the wrath of harsh weather. In United States, new winter storm hit the state of Iowa on Friday, forcing many people indoors as temperatures plummeted, causing treacherous travel conditions. A storm warning has been issued across the state, with freezing conditions and parts of Des Moines seeing up to half a foot of snow. As severe winter weather conditions affects tens of millions of Americans in the Midwest and East Coast, a king tide, which is a non-scientific term for an exceptionally high tide, washed ashore in Del Mar, California, under a sunny blue sky. Meanwhile, mudslides in Colombia, brought on by heavy rains, killed 17 people on Saturday. The mudslides covered a busy highway that connects the cities of Quibdó and Medellin in the Pacific province of Choco. An unknown number of people are still missing as mud completely engulfed several cars on the road. On the other hand, Australia is facing the wrath of bushfire amid soaring temperatures. Australia is in the grips of a high-risk bushfire after the onset of El Nino weather event.
The Atal Setu linking Mumbai and Navi Mumbai has been opened for commuters from today. The longest sea bridge of the nation will reduce the distance between Mumbai and the satellite city of Navi Mumbai from several hours to around 20 to 30 minutes. It will boost development in the region, will also play a big role in road connectivity for the upcoming international airport.
Much awaited Mumbai Trans Harbour link, popularly known as Atal Setu, is now thrown open to public, and since it's the first day, people are also commuting, also traveling to take an experience. And likewise, we have a commuter over here. Let's try and talk to them. Which side are you traveling from and how was your experience?
See, we are basically coming from Mumbai to here, and we are going return to Mumbai. See, the experience was really great. The reason is what? It is a honor or it is a pride for India that we are actually traveling from this kind of roads.
We'll be talking to more commuters here. They have all happy faces, and there's a dog inside too who's come out to visit. How was your experience, and what do you have to say about this bridge?
Actually, I'm traveling for the first time, and it's a great opportunity. Like, we are traveling and in a short time from Navi Mumbai to Mumbai, and really we are happy.
This particular giant of infrastructure has the potential of changing both the traveling scenario and also the economic scenario of both the cities, Mumbai and Navi Mumbai, and it can prove to be a game changer. With camera person Sagar, this is Shama Mishra for DD India, Mumbai.
The second International Ayush Conference and exhibition opened its doors today at Dubai World Trade Center, orchestrated by Science India Forum and the Ministry of Ayush. Running from January 13th to 15th, the three-day event is dedicated to showcasing Ayush as a reliable healthcare system for preventing and managing non-communicable chronic diseases. The focal theme of the conference, Non-Communicable Chronic Diseases, Prevention and Management through Ayush, aims to highlight Ayush as a prevention-oriented, cost-effective approach to creating a disease-free society. During the inaugural event, Minister of State for External Affairs in Government of India, V. Muralidharan, highlighted India's ancient Ayush traditions, which are gaining international recognition and popularity, particularly post-COVID. India's Department of Empowerment of Persons with Disabilities has signed an MOU with Enable India for developing a course on employability skills for persons with disabilities. The 70-hour interactive and accessible course was launched at the International Purple Fest 2024. This course will be implemented at all skill training across India, will help persons with disabilities get gainful employment.
With the idea of employability skills of 30 hours, 60 hours, basically 10% of the time, कि वो employability skills होना चाहिए, which is confidence building, which is basic English skills, basic digital skills, basic financial literacy skills. So that is combination is called employability skills. So when I came here, one was converting that book into an accessible book for persons with challenges, and then also changing the whole narrative. One more good news is that the skills regulator NCVET, they will be launching the draft guidelines for basically skill courses for persons with disabilities.
Indian Army unit deployed on the line of control in India's Gulmarg sector of North Kashmir. The Army showcased their prowess in avalanche rescue operations and domination of the area throughout the winter snow season. India's ongoing campaign of Viksit Bharat Sankalp Yatra is now in Lunglei district of Mizoram state. The campaign covered the Tyabong RD block area, focusing on the effective implementation of government initiatives to enhance development. In the recent event, efforts were made to educate and involve the community in understanding the utilizing government schemes, particularly in the health sector, through the initiatives of Tyabong Health Department. And still to come on DD India News Hour. Surge of tourists inflow in temple town of Ayodhya. Indian shuttler Satvik Sairaj, Ranika Reddy, Chirag Shetty clinched their place in the finals of Malaysian Open.
We just don't bring you the news as it unfolds. We get to the heart of the matter.
We don't just present facts. We demystify complex social, political and economic events.
We break stories that shape the world's present and future because you deserve the truth.
I am Tanvi Taneja from New Delhi.
I'm Ollie Barrett from London.
I'm Nick Harper from Washington, D.C.
Join us on DD India Global Monday to Friday at these times.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh. We now get you some special stories from the temple town of Ayodhya. As India's Ayodhya prepares for the big day, a lot of preparations and arrangements are in full swing. DD India correspondent Taposh Bhattacharya spoke with the Vice Chairman of Ayodhya Development Authority, Vishal Singh, about the monumental transformation of the temple town.
Joining me is Vishal Singh, who is the Vice Chairman of the Ayodhya Development Authority and also the Municipal Commissioner of Ayodhya. Sir, all set for the big day. 22nd is the day, and Ayodhya is absolutely in a different look altogether.
Yes, that's right. We are all set for the D-Day, and most of the projects have been completed, and we are just giving final touch to various aesthetic aspects which were left out.
We saw a lot of work going on the roadways, on the sideways. Murals were putting up. How do you see Ayodhya changing? I mean, sustainable development is one part of it. What are the major things that you, as a vice chairman of the Ayodhya Development Authority, working in tandem to see as vision for Ayodhya?
See, it's I should say in terms of urban development, many works that have been done here, infrastructure projects that we are doing here, they were from the scratch, and it was a virgin city when we started some 3.5 years back. And the work that has been done, it was taken into consideration that we are not going to disturb, or we don't want to disturb rather, any kind of climatic setup that we have here. So that's why the most fundamental underlying factor for master planning of activity of Ayodhya, we did that. We ensured that no disturbance comes up in blue and green infrastructure cover of the city. We are continuously monitoring our construction activity as vis-a-vis the climatic impact. And we are taking a feedback from there. We are also taking up many mitigating efforts like creating green cover and increasing number of water bodies, cleaning them up, rejuvenating them. That's also happening.
Also wanted to ask you, when we were coming here, we saw a lot of plants and trees were planted. Is there any particular reason? Do we see a different Ayodhya in the next couple of years?
Yes, you will see a different Ayodhya. It's changing on a daily basis. Green cover, as I have been repeatedly saying, green cover is very, very important. We don't want to make it a grey city. We want to make it a green, blue and grey city. That's the intention.
How do you see the whole ambience change in the next week or so? How's the development, especially when it comes to having an airport now, renovated train services, railway station, and the roadways also? We saw NHI doing a great work here.
Yes. All around the change is evident. We take pride in Ayodhya Development Authority creating this monumental chalk that you can see at the back. Lata Mangeshkar Chalk was basically an idea given by Honorable Prime Minister Sir, and with the guidance of Honorable Chief Minister Sir, Ayodhya Development Authority finished this project in just 28 days. That was also a great achievement for the authority, which is very small authority for that matter.
Much appreciated to time. So that was Vishal Singh, the Vice Chairman of Ayodhya Development Authority, stating that the Ayodhya that we now know will undergo a massive change as it gets ready for 22nd when Prime Minister Narendra Modi will inaugurate the Ram Mandir. With camera person Sanjay Jaina, this is Taposh Bhattacharya for DD India from Ayodhya.
Indian Minister of Civil Aviation Jyotiraditya Scindia has said Ayodhya Airport was completed in record time. He added that by 2040, about 8 to 10 cities in the country will have capacity of double airports.
Groundbreaking till inauguration by Prime Minister. It was constructed in a matter of 20 months. And it was constructed by Airports Authority of India. And therefore, the government sector today is making sure that they complete projects before time. Goa is the first city airport to have 2 airports. Mumbai and Delhi will be the second. By 2040, we may possibly have close to 8 cities in India, 8 to 10 cities in India that will need a capacity of double airports.
A civil engineer from India's Maharashtra has made an 11-feet replica of Ayodhya's Ram Temple in his home. The engineer started the construction before Diwali last year. He studied the various designs on the internet to make an exact replica of the under-construction Lord Ram Temple in Ayodhya. He thought of doing something for the auspicious occasion, decided to make a model of the temple in his house. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi has called upon people across the nation to light Sri Ram Jyoti or lamps in celebration of consecration of Lord Ram Temple on 22nd January. Amidst this, the lamp made in Barabanki of Indian state of Uttar Pradesh is gaining widespread popularity, spreading its unique charm not only across the nation but also across the world. It has become a means of economic empowerment for women associated with the self-help group. So far, women connected to about 150 families in the district have made millions of lamps, sending them to various regions and cities, generating substantial income. A farmer from the Indian state of Gujarat has meticulously created a 1100 kg lamp for placement in the Ram Temple. This lamp, standing at over 9 feet in height and 8 feet in width, has a capacity of over 850 kg of ghee. The lamp is made from 5 metals: gold, silver, copper, zinc and iron. The lamp has been dispatched for Lord Ram Temple in Ayodhya for the consecration ceremony on 22nd January. And echoes of Lord Ram can be heard everywhere as preparations for Ram Temple in Ayodhya are in full swing. A painter has carved a beautiful painting of Ram Darbar on the walls of a street in Charma city of Chhattisgarh. The wall-mounted picture of Ram Darbar is receiving a lot of praise from the public. The moment has now arrived and everyone is happy and excited about the inauguration of the temple. The length of the picture is some 1,000 feet. And Mauritius cabinet has decided to grant a special leave of 2 hours on Monday, 22nd January, to the public officers of Hindu faith for the inauguration of Lord Ram Temple in the Indian city of Ayodhya. According to a statement released by Mauritius government, the inauguration of Ram Temple is a landmark event as it symbolizes return of Lord Ram in Ayodhya. Amid ongoing events and celebrations across the globe ahead of consecration ceremony at Ram Temple, giant billboards of Lord Ram and the majestic temple have gone up in more than 10 states of the United States of America. The Vishwa Hindu Parishad, the VHP, US chapter, in association with Hindus from across the United States, have put up more than 40 billboards in 10 states, displaying the message of consecration ceremony on January 22nd in the Indian temple town of Ayodhya. In India, harvest festivals in the month of January mark the beginning of festivities every year. Lohri is among one of them, which is being celebrated across the nation. The festival is primarily celebrated by Sikh and Hindu communities in the northern region. The occasion typically includes gathering with family and friends, enjoying traditional food, folk music and dance. Lohri is that point in time when Earth is closest to the sun. Hence, the festival marks the receding of winters and beginning of the new harvest season. Indian Cultural Association in Sri Lanka celebrated Lohri in Colombo. High Commissioner of India to Sri Lanka, Santosh Shah, other officials of the mission and Indian diaspora participated in the festivities. The event had a burning of Lohri, followed by cultural performances. The festival of Lohri is celebrated to welcome the spring season, marks the end of winter season and commemorates the harvest of Rabi crop. You're watching TT India News Hour. Time for all the action from the world of sports. Indian shuttlers Satvik Sairaj, Ranika Reddy and Chirag Shetty are on a roll as the duo clinched their place in the finals of the Malaysian Open. The defeated South Korean pair of Kang Min Hyuk and Seo Seung Jae in straight games at Malaysia Open Super 1000 tournament on Saturday. The Indian duo duelled it out against the South Koreans in 2 intense sets of 21-18, 22-20 to book their place in the finals. They will be facing off against the Chinese pair of Wang and Liang in the finals. And that's all for this edition of TT India News Hour. Let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on Facebook, X and Instagram. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on TT India. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching TT India News Hour. Namaskar.